Okay, we're here with Rise of the Planet of the Apes. I had to move the car because where we normally park, there was a lot of crickets, and it was really distracting. Now I just got Jared sitting over there distracting me. But Rise of the Planet of the Apes, I went into it, not that I really thought it was necessarily going to be bad, but I didn't really think I'd like it too much just because of my whole thing with CG and everything. And the movie, there's maybe a couple points in the movie where it looks okay, and really that's just the orangutan. Like that honestly looked pretty real.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was. Maybe it wasn't CG, but
I thought Chewed Up Monkey looked pretty realistic. Like his face was all craggy and his eye was just kind of listening off to the side.
So, you know, I can bitch about that, the motion capture thing. I sort of understand why they wanted to go that route in some aspects, in that it's not like the other ape movies. They're not
realistic in the originals.
Yeah,
like dudes in an ape mask, and compared to that,
but
you know.
Well, you see, with that, I like that, but because at least that doesn't look like a cartoon. That looks like something that's actually there on. I know Andy Serkis is there. I know he's actually there doing the ape movements and everything, but it is computerized around him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And there's hardly ever a point in this movie where I actually thought I was looking at an actual ape.
I think the main problem was that was Caesar's face.
Yeah,
you know, like
it was.
The monkey face they picked was less a monkey face and more like the missing link in that progression of ape to man. Mm-hmm. You know, it was too flat and too human looking, and I guess that's probably what they were going for. But it kind of took me out of the movie.
It did take me out of the movie, and I know that like, you know, Roddy McDowall and all of them didn't look like they were, but I mean they were ape hybrids with humans and everything, and at least they had developed the traits of human beings. Mm-hmm. But at least in that, like I said, there was never a doubt there was actually someone there on screen. I mean, even like the Tim Burton movie had great makeup effects. It was a piece of shit movie, but it had great makeup effects. And in this one, it annoyed me a lot that, especially coming off of Cowboys and Aliens, which used a lot of animatronics and a lot of practical effects, and this movie can't get actual monkeys in a zoo.
Yeah.
The part, like, when they've got Caesar going around in the stroller, and they pass by the ape section, and it's all CG apes. They're just there. You couldn't find. Are you fucking kidding me? You couldn't find.
I think it's one of those situations where you have to either go all real apes or all CG apes, because you can't, have the fakey ones and then show you real ones to remind you what you're missing.
That wouldn't have really bothered me. Even a lot of times, like I said, I get why a lot of it, because they couldn't have done a lot of the stuff that they did. They couldn't have done a lot of the action set pieces in this movie without that. Granted, they could have gone a more simplistic route with the same story. Like, I liked Conquest of the Planet of the Apes better. Anyway, but not only that, I do think that they're just fucking lazy. There's a part in this movie where a car makes a right turn, and the car was CG.
I missed that part. I thought it was...
I know. Okay.
You remember?
Yeah,
okay.
Now I remember.
I thought it was pretty good the way they got the CG monkeys to interact with stuff. I mean, it never felt like they were like hovering above their surroundings, which sometimes you get with the CG. Like when that monkey's booking it up that redwood tree, you can actually like see his fingers digging in, and he's making contact.
Yeah,
with
I mean, it isn't
touching.
created out of nowhere. It is Andy Serkis there doing motion capture. But even with that said, they were still characters. I still felt for them as characters.
That's how I was invested in what was going to happen to these monkeys, and that goes a long way for me.
Yeah,
like this.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I can bitch about CG, but I'll never dislike something just because of that. Yeah, this movie, it's got a good story. I was invested in what's going on.
Yeah.
I was rooting for this. I was rooting for the apes.
I don't know if it was supposed to be or not, but yeah.
I kind of wondered that too, if you're supposed to be or not.
And I think that you must be, because that's the only explanation for why they'd kind of downplay the whole everyone's gonna get sick and die thing.
Yeah,
that was...
It was like, it's a happy ending, the apes are in the forest. Oh, by the way, this is plague and it's spreading a
That was so how they spliced that in with the ending credits.
They played the credits for like 5 seconds, and then here's 5 more minutes of movie.
Yeah,
it didn't make any sense.
Here's by the way, yeah, the extinction of man. We'll just throw that in with the ending credits. That's not fucking important. This shit movie.
See, the yellow line represents the plague that's gonna wipe out mankind.
It's a flawed movie, but I was invested in what was going on. I was entertained, and even though there was not a part in this movie where I actually thought I was looking at a fucking ape, I was still invested in them as characters. I still, when they were upset, it was effective. You know, there were some touching moments in the movie.
And there was a definite progression of the character of Caesar, you know? Like, it wasn't just like, he's a monkey. He picks up a stick and all of a sudden he's like, super smart, leading an army. You know, you actually follow him and like kind of watch his thought process as he becomes disillusioned with, you know, the whole of mankind.
Well, he's kind of making the other apes in the movie smart as well. And one of the things is,
like,
these apes already seem kind of smart.
Yeah, they did.
There's one who knows sign language, but he's like a circus orangutan, and so he's communicating sign language with Caesar. But the other apes seem really smart too. Like, they got like Oz prison rules going on and shit like that.
They are apes, you know. Apes are, you know.
I know they're not. I know that. But they don't seem that much dumber than Caesar. And Caesar doesn't seem dumb.
Yeah.
Like, he makes them smart at the end. But really, they only seem this much smarter than they already were.
Well, I think it's because they phased straight from, you know, mindless monkeys to mob mentality. Because it's pretty much, you know, okay, you guys are smart, let's go swarm the city. Yeah. You know, they didn't really have a chance to show off their skills.
True.
But I mean, you know, they're doing some. I really liked the battle scene there on the bridge.
I did too. Yeah.
It was it was very military. You know.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't just, you know, storm the police and take them over brute force. They're like flanking them.
Yeah.
Getting
and like,
smart. And women and children go underneath where they're not going to get shot at, you know.
I think that's, if that was real life, that situation would have been resolved a hell of a lot quicker than it was in the movie. Yeah, let's send the horseback cops in there with sticks. Yeah, that'll take care of everything.
Yeah.
The fuck.
See, that was the kind of subtle reference to the original movie that I liked. You know, like them chasing down the monkeys with the sticks.
Okay, I guess that is. I didn't put that together.
What I didn't much care for.
Oh God.
Here we go.
Oh my fucking.
Yes.
Get your hands off me, you damn dirty ape.
Oh my.
No.
Oh my fucking. First of all,
there was like an audible
that didn't like that. I was so really kind of invested in that action. So to go back to the bridge thing, with that I didn't really even put that together. If they were trying to make a reference with them hitting up, I guess they were. I guess they were. It makes sense. It makes sense. But they do other references like the Icarus.
Taking off.
Lost in space on the papers. Like, first of all, this is kind of going against the continuity of Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, but whatever. Okay, so first of all, spoiler alert, it's Malfoy's fault.
That kid is a character.
Fuck that kid.
No, okay, fuck that kid's characters, but he did a good job in this.
No, I didn't find it. The whole time.
Smarmy brat really well.
He's no Billy Zabka. And that's the thing, because he's a Billy Zabka type actor, but Billy Zabka is actually intimidating.
Well, he's not supposed to be intimidating. He's supposed to be just, you know.
I know he's supposed to be more of a brat than Billy Zabka, but when you look kind of like Billy Zabka and you play similar roles, Zabka just does it so much fucking better than Draco Malfoy. He's just a little fucking punk. Now, you know what? I guess, I shouldn't say I thought he did a bad job, but
the fact that you're so mad at him afterwards, I think is a...
That's less to do, honestly, that's less to do with the character he was playing, and that, I just don't, it's not a very good presence.
And the fact that he uttered that line, too.
The fact that it was him that uttered that fucking line. Oh, yeah, because when I think Malfoy, he's like this with Charlton Heston.
Yeah.
Like, oh, yeah. Right there, yeah.
He just tossed it off, too, and I don't know if that's better or worse than...
That's what he said, a fucking catchphrase of the series.
Put your hands up, you damn dirty...
Here's what happens. Okay, so, is Tom Felton, is that the guy's name? Tom Felton.
Yeah.
Tom Felton.
He's Malfoy.
Yeah, Malfoy. So Malfoy is in the cage with Caesar, and he's trying to fight Caesar, which... fucking idiot. And so, anyway, Caesar puts his hand on Malfoy, and Malfoy says the line. He says, "Take your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape." And I about shut down in the theater.
Yeah.
I heard you really like the entire audience.
Really? You did too. I mean, I think I was a little louder, but...
Yeah, I think I actually was a gape. I was just like...
And what pissed me off the most was that 5 seconds after what is supposed to be probably the biggest dramatic moment in the movie happens.
Yeah.
About 5 seconds after this pointless, groaning fucking line that did not need to be in the fucking movie. 5 seconds after, not even enough time to recollect your thoughts, is probably the most dramatic moment in the movie, and it's ruined. It's fucking ruined by their need to reference the original in the worst possible spot they could have put that. Like, it's up there with when Darth Vader screamed out "No" in Revenge of the Sith. The misplacement of that fucking line. First of all, it shouldn't have been in there anyway, but he could have said anything in that scene. He could have said, "Get back to your cage," whatever. And Caesar still could have done what he did afterwards and would have been a billion times more impactful. It would have had the impact that it should have had in that scene.
Hell, he could have just not even said anything. The fact that he was just stopping him there, would have made it fine. And, it would have built up suspense.
Actually, that would have been really good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then
the thing that we're trying not to spoil for you.
Yeah, we're not going to spoil it because
It's without that fucking line in there 5 seconds prior, my God, that would have been a really good moment in the movie.
Like, if you go see it, as soon as you see him grab him, plug your ears.
Earmuffs.
Until you see his mouth stop moving, and then let it go. Yeah, earmuffs. Earmuffs. And then you might actually... You'll enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. And again, it was a good movie. It had some major flaws.
It did.
Yeah.
And, like I said, it is good. Franco is good in it. His relationship with Caesar is believable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
More believable than whether or not there's actually a monkey on screen.
There were some parts where Franco's performance fell flat for me, like when he was...
I enjoyed him.
Because, I could have bawled if they had done it better with him and his dad with the Alzheimer's. Are you kidding me? But it was just... He was so Franco-y. And didn't disaffect it and didn't seem like... It's like, yeah, my dad has Alzheimer's. It's a bummer, you guys.
He toked up.
I liked him in it. I liked him better than the girl.
That was almost like eye candy.
I don't know. Exactly. The girl from Transformers 3 was busy. There's no reason for her to be in the
girl.
movie.
Her name is placeholder.
There was no reason for her to be in the fucking movie. No. Lithgow was really good. Like I said, it's like what we've been saying. It's flawed, and I would have preferred Billy Zabka. Because Billy Zabka's a douche, but you had the extra.
Back in my day,
You had the extra. You had the extra. You had the extra oomph that he was intimidating. You know, he could have been a prick, but he could also kick your ass. Wouldn't it be great if it was made in the 80s and it was James Spader playing that part?
God.
okay,
Oh.
yes,
See?
I'm with you.
See,
on
there
that.
you go. There you go. James Spader.
That might have even just been a little too creepy, though, too.
Imagine fucking one of the monkeys.
Yeah, probably. It's like,
He's setting up a video camera in
you'd be
front
like,
of the
you'd be like, get your hands off me, you damn dirty ape.
He could
And Caesar just goes,
he could,
yep, I'm good.
he could only have sex with the monkeys after they both get in a car accident. This movie's really weird.
Okay, monkey. Maybe next
How the
time.
hell they get Cronenberg to direct this? They think was gonna happen. I liked that.
Wait, when did this become Crash or the Planet of the Apes?
Oh, that would have been great. Oh my god. Oh,
Caesar would have the little
that's a
two
cult.
little...
That's a cult classic in the making.
Someone just starts fucking that scar on his chest.
See?
Oh,
He's got the scar on his chest, right? See?
oh no.
That's the movie they wanted to make. Oh man.
son of a
But what else is there? I liked Brian Cox as Rip Torn.
Oh, is the monkey keeper? I thought he looked familiar.
Yeah. he was good in it. I did like how it was a simplistic story in that, like, it really is, the movie is basically a setup to what would lead to the apes taking
Conquering the
over,
planet, yeah.
what would lead to the apes conquering the planet. And I like that because, I mean, it did sidestep the whole thing that, like, I mean, Jake even said this last week, that just shoot the monkeys! It did kind of sidestep that a little bit, even though, like I said earlier, I don't know if they would have made it that far on that bridge.
I do think we should actually write out a handmade "I'm sorry" note for Jake because he requested it. Staple is $10 to it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Which
I have to wonder what, because you mentioned that it's kind of leading us into what will eventually be the conquest of the Planet of the Apes.
well, this movie's the same.
No, I
It's
don't mean
almost
like
like
the movie,
parallel.
just like
They're like
taking
parallels.
over.
Yeah.
But-
Conquest was it was an origin story. It was like
Yeah.
a build up, like the more sci-fi than this.
But
one,
I mean, leading into the apes taking
Oh,
over
yeah,
is
yeah,
what
yeah.
I meant.
Oh,
But
sorry.
I have to wonder what James Franco's part will be in this world, because they kind of made it look like at the end, like oh, okay, we're friends now, we're gonna hang out.
I
But
liked that scene.
He's gonna get sick and he's gonna
Gonna
die, or
Yeah.
he will be enslaved, which kind of put.
I mean, as
a
long
damper
as
on that
Caesar,
situation.
is still in control in everything, I can't picture him being enslaved.
Well, but he's still gonna get sick though.
Well, yeah.
I
Especially
assume,
since both
yeah.
those monkeys with the aerosol thing have that disease in them, and
Well.
apparently it is bloodborne.
He put this disease in me. Let's let future Apes movies worry about that. No, I know what you're saying. Like, but I was glad they didn't kill him off in this because I did like him as a character.
I was waiting for that to happen.
Yeah,
on
I
the
was
bridge.
waiting for him to get
I'm like,
killed.
shit.
Yeah, I was waiting for it too.
Well, when bad guy in the helicopter was like reaching out with his hand, when it was just his hand, I thought that was James Franco when he had gotten crushed in that car. He crawled into.
yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay,
Oh
here
my
we go.
god! Yeah, that would. Yeah, I'm surprised that didn't happen in the movie. That would have fucking set him off like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
But I did like that ending there with the two of them. When I mean, we've already been spoiling the shit out of this, but there's like a good scene between. I mean, I thought it was a good scene between the two of them at the end when he walks up to him in the woods, and I liked that. I liked that part.
Yeah, it was a good scene. It's just when you think about the implications, it kind of
Sure.
negates it for me.
Well, and I mean, you got to look at them trying to set up, like, if you were to watch this and then immediately go into the original Planet of the Apes, how their society was set up, especially like with Caesar, kind of not wanting anybody to die.
Yeah.
Which is it sets it up later on where they've advanced and they try to make themselves better than man. They ultimately fail. They turned out to be just like us. But
Well, it kind of happened in this movie too, because he didn't want anyone to die, and then that guy was in a helicopter, and he was like, "Nope, poosh."
well, there's exceptions to that.
Yeah, that was like a revenge thing. I kind of
Yeah.
got that. Why that guy continued to fuck with the ape with the scar on his face?
Yeah.
No fuck. That ape was missing everything but a fucking eye patch.
The name's Pliskin. Koba Pliskin.
Oh, Koba was a badass.
Yes.
He was my favorite.
But I guess I recommend it. I don't know how much of a recommendation that is, but it's fine.
It's a movie.
Yeah, you're gonna enjoy
You
it.
care what happens.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's investing. You care what happens to the right character, to the characters you're supposed to care about. You do, you know. So if you've seen everything else this summer, if you've seen Cowboys and Aliens already, and
I teared up a little bit at a couple parts.
yeah,
Like when
yeah.
that one like took a header off of the bridge.
Oh yeah, that was yeah.
I just went.
I wonder if they originally wanted this movie to be in 3D. Did you guys notice a lot of parts in the movie where shit
Now that
gets?
you mention it, yeah. Well, that part even, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's-
There was more 3D in this than like Pirates of the Caribbean. So this wasn't even in
Jesus.
3D.
There's just a lot of like soaring landscapes with monkeys crawling.
Soaring landscapes, the fog throwing the spears at the camera,
Yeah.
the sewer lid gets thrown at the camera, monkeys swinging around and everything.
Yeah, that's the point.
Did they want to put this in 3D? I don't know. But yeah, I recommend it. I recommend it. All right.
I agree.
Yeah, it's entertaining. It's investing.
Mm-hmm.
The storyline, they make it believable.
basic,
I mean,
yeah.
they simplify it enough to where you can make it believable, and
Yeah.
they use science to progress the apes, and
It's simplified, but they don't, hammer home every point.
Oh
they
well,
have
yeah,
to
it's
make.
not dumb.
And that's what I
Yeah.
appreciate about it, because they
Yeah.
don't see that a lot.
Oh yeah, it's not dumb,
It's like,
but
you
it's
see
not
people, it is
it's not
truly the monkeys
complicated.
who are, you know.
Oh well, yeah. I wonder who the real gorillas are.
I will say though, speaking of dumb, they probably just could have cut out that little after the credits thing. I mean, because it's one of those things where before they even showed that, I'm like, okay, well, clearly this virus is what's going to do us in. It's not the monkeys themselves. I mean, the monkeys probably would try and find some way of living in harmony, but I came to that conclusion before they even did the little credit thing. I'm like,
Even if
okay,
they
we're
were
gonna
gonna do that,
die.
they just put it in with the rest of
Yeah.
the fucking movie.
Yeah,
See, I thought it was okay. I just think it was weird that they like spliced it in
yeah.
to the credits.
Well, that's what
5
I'm saying.
seconds in.
That's what I'm saying, because I have no problem with it being in the movie. I think that's fine. But the fact that it was a very huge plot point.
Yeah, the big reveal about the neighbor.
I'm really
Yeah.
glad it was that dick.
Fuck that guy.
I was
Fuck
waiting for him
that
to
guy.
die, yeah.
Fuck that fucking guy. Hope
Pick on the guy with Alzheimer's.
hope Caesar shoved his
Yeah.
finger up his ass.
You're thinking of Spader again.
Oh shit.
But yeah, all right. So that's all I got.
Pretty much.